do every day to maintain your physical body? Or is it just the foraging and what you're doing that is your exercise and your how you do it all? Or do you, very Western, go to a gym and,
Oh, well, so I'm an avid runner.
you're a big runner.
I run up to 20 miles a day.
Okay.
Because also, Abby, when I say I forage, right?
Yes.
Many times when I'm foraging, I'm not just walking, I'm running. Like, I literally huck Finn with my sack over my
Right.
shoulders as I'm running, right? But no, I'm an avid runner, and it's again not something I say you got to run today. You better run. Have you ran?
You
I
enjoy it.
love doing it because it's actually my form of meditation.
Okay.
Because what running does is it takes me into a breathing pattern known as theta,
Okay.
where like you feel the buoyancy. It's like what I love too is the first mile or so when you run, right? You're engaging in the head. You're like, oh, this is so
Hmm.
hard. Like, oh, it's so much effort. It's like, is this over yet? And then all of a sudden, at some point, for me, it's after the 1 mile mark, you just relax into the run. You relax into the breathing. Remember what Barrett said, the person who breathes the deepest. That's
Right.
when I go into breathing the deepest. I'm like, wow, I'm in meditation.
Yes. I see. I do a little yoga every day, and I would say the first like 5 minutes are worthless because
Yeah.
oh my God, wait, what's on that list? What am I supposed to do? Wait, who's calling? What am I? And I'm everywhere, and then I can get there. And it
Yeah.
takes a minute, and it takes a minute every day. I can't just shift gears that easily. It
Totally.
takes a mile.
Yeah, yeah. I love that protocol too because it really uh, allows you and asks you to be present, right?
Hmm.
It's like you become this convergence for everything, even the things you're worrying about. Like, of course, everything's invited to converge because even the worry needs to be invited into that experience.
Hmm.
And so at that first mile, right, I'm thinking about certain things. Everything gets to be invited because everything drops into that theta, and that's where the refinement and the purification can begin.
Yes, and then you can concentrate on, I mean, you're jogging through Hawaii, so you can see, the beautiful green, the beautiful sky, all I know about Hawaii is there is a reason that every single person wants to go there and that the rainbows really are real and it really is just that magical and the beaches are just beyond. It's true. It's
It
true.
is.
I will go there. It's on my list, but soon, soon maybe. Maybe I'll, maybe I'll visit you. um, so I'm feeling also another thing is that what you do with the fern medicine is really respecting nature, and how you respect nature is so clear because you do speak with the plants and you do ask their permission. And do you thank them? Is that part of your ceremony?
Yeah, most certainly. And it's always good to also transfer what the plan is. Because ultimately what happens is the plant needs to consent. And
Hmm.
so you have to be really clear about what the objective, what the plan is in the harvesting of that plant, right?
If
And
you
so
didn't, do you think the potency would be less?
absolutely,
Okay, that's so
absolutely.
interesting
It's
because
part of the ceremony. It's part of the necessary ceremony. It's a negotiation. First and foremost, it's a negotiation.
okay,
And many people, the plants are so disposable that they're not part of that negotiation. And so, of
right,
course, their potency is going to collapse in a way.
okay. So what do you give to the plants? The plants are giving to you. What do you return?
Yeah, it's really simple. So, when we pluck a stem or we detach a part of the plant from its mother root or
Hmm.
its mother stalk,
Hmm.
wherever you plucked from, you
Hmm.
take your saliva and you smear it on that because what you're doing is you're gifting your DNA or your lineage, which is the highest of respect you can give anything.
Amazing, amazing. Um, yeah, that's incredible. I right now I feel, between it's snowing in the south of United States in Texas. There's snowstorms. It's LA's on fire. I feel like finally we are catching on that now is the time to respect Mother Earth. Is there more that you could share that would, I want to get your message out because we have to respect our plants. We have to respect ourselves, our lineage. We have so much to learn. That, I guess what I'm wondering, what have you learned from all of this? What is the one thing that you want us to know?
Yeah.
So that, I mean, between you've just honored so much. You've honored your history and your lineage, and you honor your plants, and you share your plants with us. And for that, I'm so grateful. And they're wonderful. They're special. They're not like I don't know what brand, but they're not like the mass produced. It shows that they are made with love. Like, what is the one thing that I probably missed because I'm trying very hard, but I might
Yeah.
have missed it. What do you want us to know about you? Oh, and I have one more question.
Yeah. Well, to what you're asking too, Abby, about our relationship with the natural world is I encourage everyone to remember that the natural world, including the plants, also have a plan. And so can we listen to them? And
Hmm.
so part of my engagement with the plants is I'm also available to receive their plan. And that can be so supportive in maintaining the natural world because the best instructions we're going to get in order to maintain the beauty of the natural world is from the plants.
What do they tell you?
Well, with my relationship with the ferns, this is a good example. Is every year, because ferns correlate to human emotions, okay? There are 103 ferns that correlate to 103 emotions.
Except for one.
Oh,
Isn't
no,
there?
well, there's
Oh,
one that's energetically androgynous,
okay. That
which is
was,
one that's energetically
yes.
androgynous. But every year, there's a fern or an emotion that really allows itself to be influential amongst all others. And so that's an example of receiving something from the ferns, this specific fern. And I actually have it right here. This is Neke fern.
Yes.
This is the fern of charisma. And
Charisma.
when I asked this fern, I said, well, what's the plan?
Yeah.
I received from charisma that 2025, Gregorian 2025, is a year where charisma is going to be greatly influential. And so there will be a transference of this energetic quality of charisma upon the planet. And that this fern is asking for the world to simply receive it and allow us to be infused in the codes of charisma. Now, what charisma means to all of us individually may be very different. And so
Yes.
when I talk about ferns and emotions, I'm very mindful not to give too much definition
Okay.
because I don't want to insert an idea into someone. But this fern, Neke, in my conversation said, this year, 2025, is the year where I will be greatly influential, be available for the energetics of charisma.
So charisma. So I think of charisma as like almost like a trait. Like it's the person that everyone's attracted to. It's the thing everybody wants. The kids call it the riz. Oh, this. When they're talking about each other, they're like, oh yeah, they have a lot of riz. I guess Taylor Swift has a lot of charisma. We're all attracted to
Mm.
Taylor Swift. Um, is it that, or is it a different definition of charisma?
I would say that feels accurate to me, right? But then also, it's along the lines of it being influential.
How
And
can
that's
charisma be that sort of influential?
because just as you're sharing, we become attracted to something or someone. And
Hmm.
so they become influential because now they have an audience.
Okay.
And one of the things with charisma that I've, in my own personal dialogue with charisma is I'm like, wow, I've allowed so many people in my life to be that to which influences me. Have I ever allowed myself to be influential? Have I ever allowed myself to say, you know what, I am the most influential thing in my life? or I'm always like looking for others, right, to give me
Look
instruction.
inward for the charisma. Is that
Yeah,
what you're saying? Like, I want to guide myself, not just only look outwards for teachers
exactly.
or
And
leaders.
that was a like a truth bomb that I felt with when I had that upload with Neke and Charisma. I said, "Gosh, maybe this is an invitation for humanity to allow themselves to be
To
just
look
as
inward.
influential as anyone
Yes.
else."
I
Yeah,
think we need to look inward and not just believe all the hype, or
yeah,
just believe what everybody else is saying. Sometimes we have to really take a minute and look inward, because we have the answer for ourselves, because we are each so different. We are each so unique, in my
right,
opinion. um,
right, yeah,
and what's right for one isn't necessarily right for another, I don't think. So yeah, I never thought about looking inward for charisma.
yeah, yeah. Like, let yourself be the most influential thing for you. Yeah,
Yes, I'm this I'm I'm on board. This is this is such a big idea. I'm just Yes, this is this is just such a big idea. This
but
one's going to stay with me.
Abby, I do want to also share because that was like a specific example in general that I get from all of the plants and Hanalei and nature. It's a reminder, and they're asking that one of the great ways that we can once again come into proper partnership with plants in the natural world is once again that thing on possession.
Yes.
When I feel into the natural world literally says it is the greatest distortion that has ever existed. It is the greatest
Well, it is a
distortion.
falsehood. If you own property, it's a falsehood. It, you know, uh, yes, maybe I can keep you out with my fence, but not really, because all the squirrels and the birds can all come in whenever they want.
Yeah,
Um,
and one of the things that we're going to learn because we've been so conditioned in this world of possession is that ultimately it's coming to terms with where we're attached and what we're attached to because we become so possessive of the natural world. That's why we destroy the natural world because we feel we possess it.
we own it. I can
Right.
do whatever
And
I
so
want. This
right.
is
And
my
so
land. I can burn it to the ground.
it's so diplomatic how the natural world says, well, our plan, our objective is just to invite you to come out of the trance of possession.
Yes.
If
So
you want to connect with us again, we have to reconcile the greatest blockage that exists with humanity and the natural world, and that's possession.
So how do you reconcile? You live in a beautiful home and you have beautiful clothes and beautiful things. And I'm sure you do have a car. I don't, I'm just assuming.
Yeah, yeah.
You have all those things. Are you just borrowing them from the world? Yes, you pay your mortgage, but are you, because there's a balance. There's a balance. You live in the Western world, but you believe in your heart of hearts and in your soul that maybe not all of this can be a truth. It's it's like a fiction that we all just go along with.
Right. Yeah, I like the way you just put that. Yeah, I love some of the comforts of life. I love living in a beautiful home and I love, being able to have things of great quality.
Mhm.
But remember, the key is to not be attached to
Okay,
that's the key, is to
right.
not be attached, because that's when it goes into a kind of profanity. And
Yes.
so that's how we can check ourselves. It's like, can I do without this? If this was taken away from me today, like, is my world over kind of thing? Or can I be fluid with the things and the materials and all the things that come in and out of my life?
How do you reconcile that with like sentimentality? Because I wear like my grandmother's ring or my mother's earrings, and I treasure them, and I'm always glad to tell people about them. How do you reconcile that with sentimentality?
Yeah. So there's a fern called Palai Hina Hina, and it's the fern of grief.
Okay.
And what grief had shared with me the true codes of this voltage known as grief is that it's not about uh, loss, it's about completion.
Oh, how
And so,
interesting.
once again, with that sentimentality, am I engaging in sentimentality because I'm obsessed with loss?
Hmm.
Because that's, I would say, the big distortion with grief is that many people, they only engage with this energy because they're seduced in this sense of loss,
Hmm.
rather than oftentimes with that sentimentality, it can be a celebration of something's completion,
Hmm. Hmm.
completion. And that brings it into a whole different spectrum of allowance and flexibility rather than that sense of loss, which sometimes sentimentality is actually, being in this trap known as loss.
Yeah, it's interesting because I do have a lot of the things that belong to my mother and my grandmother. And if I'm feeling like I want to be close or something, I need a little extra support, I'll put on one of their sweaters.
Yeah.
And I do wrap myself in it. And it's not necessarily loss, it's just me wanting to share. It's more,
Yeah.
you know, it'll be my kids will ask, oh, I haven't seen that sweater in a while. I said, oh, well, we bought it. It's probably over 30 years old, and I remember my grandmother buying it here, and I just love wearing, because
Yeah.
it makes me feel good. And I don't know if that she's not so much about loss. She was 97. Um, so she had a wonderful life and until she couldn't live anymore. Um, but it's about celebration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as
Yeah.
long, and so of course the way that you could reconcile that loss from that celebration is, do I have an attachment to
Oh, I do. Which is against what you're saying.
it?
I don't want to give up that sweater. I guess if one of my children was cold and naked, I would give it to them. But no, I don't want to give it up. Maybe I'm not ready for everything the plants have to share. But I'm trying. I am trying. It's a balance, and it's a journey. We're all learning together.
Totally. And you're already on the best path, Abby, because you're being honest.
There's the laugh. Well, truth is important and authenticity is important. And you are definitely one of the most authentic people I have ever come across. And I appreciate that so, so much. Um, I'm curious, what does Kioni mean?
It means the spiral hurls forth.
Oh, what does that mean?
Yeah. So in my culture, right, we're bringing up the topic of kiakahi. So we're aware that we experience this thing called amnesia. When we come into this plane, right, something happens, there's a glitch and we kind of forget. It's like, oh, wait, why am I here? So in my culture, the way that we safeguard against amnesia is our kiakahi is actually coded in our name. And
Oh,
so the way that our name lands on the child is that the child actually is the one who names itself. So a kahuna or a makaula, a mystic, will get the upload um, either before a woman is even pregnant or during
mhm,
her pregnancy. And that's from the actual light being that
mhm,
says, this is my name. Make
mhm,
sure that it is that I am met with that name. And
mhm,
so the kahuna or the makaula will either tell the parents, or it's very common in my culture that a kahuna and a makaula is the one who names us
mhm, mhm,
because they're the ones who channel that name. And coded in our name is our kiakahi. So as long as you have your name, you always have access to your kiakahi. So my name, the spiral hurls forth. Um, all the data and the information, the knowledge that my grandmother gifted me that comes from my lineage, I must hurl it forth.
Okay,
And
and that is what you're doing.
yeah, exactly.
This is so full. Did you think you were, hurling it forth when you were a kindergarten teacher or when you were
No,
doing graduate work at Berkeley, or do you feel like you're doing it now?
I'm doing it now. It was, in small ways, it was like trickles, right? Because I was actually rejecting it.
Hmm.
When you
Hmm.
when you live in the contaminated, corrupted world, you're actually rejecting your true nature, is what's
Okay, so you
happening.
weren't looking to your name to
Not at
be
all. Not at
your
all.
profession.
Right. I subdued that.
Okay. Oh, that's so interesting to me. Oh, so you really only started within the past 13 years embracing your name for what it is
Yeah.
and really becoming what your name, then doesn't that make you think that everything you're telling me about the generations going back 1017 to, 18,000 BC, that it's all true? That it's because the mystic laid it out for you that your name would be Kioni Hanalei, and that is what you're doing.
Yeah. If there's any like if you need any like confirmation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like, oh, it's like, oh, good, I get to relax now and just like I said, the key word, right? It's just maintain.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
the maintenance of life takes you out of like the over efforting of life, which is why so many of us come into exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can just come into the maintenance of your life, it's like you have so much more buoyancy in your life and the world becomes friendly.
Do you feel lighter? Do you feel just without burden?
Yeah. Of course, I have like my thoughts of burden, right? But it doesn't overpower me. I'm
Do you
not
have
overwhelmed.
children?
I don't have children.
You don't have.
I have many nieces and nephews.
How wonderful! That's wonderful. Do you have pets?
Well, I have a
Because
cat
I guess that would be a possession.
I have a cat friend who visits me.
A cat friend.
Yeah,
Oh,
who visits
wonderful.
me. But I don't possess him. So he
Mm-hmm.
comes when he wants and he leaves when he wants and he has his own beautiful cat life.
Whatever it may be, when you're not looking. Does he come in? Does he bring you gifts?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Um, is marriage to you something outside the realm of, is it too Western a construct?
Well, I mean, the way that marriage is like this binding agreement with
Hmm.
documents, most certainly it feels so unnatural. But the ceremony of companionship and union
Hmm.
is so beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah,
Do
it's
you
so.
have a companion?
I don't have a companion.
Do you
You know,
want one?
I say it like this, Abby. Right now, I'm in the age of my body of work, and that is
Yes.
fulfilling for me right now.
Hmm.
But that doesn't mean I'm not available for that kind of romantic companionship, but it's
Hmm.
not something that I find important for me right.
Hmm. Hmm. You're almost like a high priest. You have more to do than just get married, and it might take too much energy, and then you couldn't share quite like you do.
Well, plus my partner would deserve someone who's very present. And
Right.
I'm in so many dimensions right now that
Hmm.
that's really my commitment.
What you're doing is so important to all of us because everything's so extra. We have to get back to our roots and who we are and remember who came before us because we're not going to learn from their mistakes or their accomplishments if we are just focusing on the other, on the Western. I just have quick questions. What is the first thing you do when you wake up?
Well, in a really practical way, my bedroom, I have French doors. I just immediately go outside and just observe,
Yes.
observe from my porch.
Do you say thank you?
Sure,
I
sure.
mean, sometimes especially lately, I've been, well, in the past week, I've been waking up and saying how grateful I am to wake up in my own bed. Because when I look at some people, they don't have a bed. Um, I'm
Yeah.
sharing too much, maybe, but
So true. It's so true for us to be to recognize how lucky we are is also part of coming into proper contentment, right? Is
yes.
to acknowledge why we deserve to feel content.
What is your favorite food?
Gummy bears.
Gummy bears. Oh my gosh. I would have, I believe you because I understand. So which brand?
I would say the classic Haribo.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's another one, it's like Albanese or Albanese.
Oh
Have you
yes,
tried this
they're good.
one? Oh, it's
They
so
have really
good.
fun colors. They have really fun
Yes,
colors. Yeah.
yes. I thought you were gonna say something that foraged from the sea, from the land.
No, it's gummy bears.
Yes. I love it. I love it. How often do you eat gummy bears?
Wow. I would say, I have a stash in my house. And so it's always accessible to me, but as far as how often I eat them, gosh, at least weekly. But I do
Weekly?
have my stash in my house, yeah.
Oh, I understand. I understand. Um, do you cook?
I do cook, but I'm not the best cook. I'm
Do
the
you?
cook where I cook, my food for me, so good. But when I'm cooking for other people, I get a little insecure.